Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss the last two topics of this chapter. So today's first topic is called polygons. Now you might have heard this term before also. In the earlier class also we got this term called polygons. So what are actually these polygons? So let us first look at the definition. A plane figure with at least three straight sides and angles is called a polygon. Now the main factor that we'll be focusing on is the number of sides. So any figure having at least three sides, at least minimum requirement. It is not that if there is more than three sides that it won't be a polygon. No, it would be a polygon, but at least there should be three sides. Only then we can consider it under the term called polygon. So any plane figure which has at least three straight sides and angles, obviously if there are sides then there will be angles, then it is called a polygon. Now let us see some of the examples of polygon. These are some of the examples of polygon. Now if you see carefully, the smallest polygon that we have is the triangle, because triangle has three sides, minimum requirement it has. So it has three sides and obviously there will be three angles. Then after that comes quadrilateral. It has four sides. We have already discussed about quadrilateral. Then pentagon. It has five sides. Then hexagon, six sides. Octagon, eight sides. Now it's not that only this many are the polygons. There are more polygons. As you increase the size of the polygon, the number of sides also will increase, as well as the name also will differ. So these are some few examples only given about polygons. Clear? Now moving on then to the next topic, that is three-dimensional shapes. So what are three-dimensional shapes? In the earlier slide, whatever you have seen, those were two-dimensional polygons, because it is a plane figure. Now three-dimensionals are not plane figures. Although we can draw it in a plane of paper, but this three-dimensional shapes has some extra dimensions due to which we cannot call them as plane figures. So let us see the definition first of all. In geometry, a three-dimensional shape can be defined as a solid figure. Okay, now look carefully this word called solid figure. It is a solid thing. So can you draw any solid thing on a piece of paper? No. It is not actually possible. Can you draw an apple in a piece of paper? Yes, we can draw. But will that depict an apple? No. To draw we have to give some effects, shadow effects and all those things. Only then it might look like a real apple. But other than that, solid figures are not usually drawn in a piece of paper. So we'll come to that later on. But the main factor that we have to keep in mind here is the three-dimensional shapes. Why they are called three-dimensional? Because there are three dimensions. They are length, width and height. Width means the breadth. So any figure, solid figure, it has to be solid figure, not a hollow one. So if there is any solid figure which has all these dimensions, length, width and height, then they are called solid three-dimensional shapes. Although in some cases the length or the width or the height may be zero due to some reason, but then we will not consider them as three-dimensional. We'll see that later on. But for the time being, just you remember that whenever we talk about three-dimensional, we have to consider these three things, that is length, width and height. In the earlier case, in the polygon, we have seen, say for example the quadrilateral, it has length and it has breadth. For example, a rectangle, it has length and a breadth. Does it have any height? No. So we cannot consider it as three-dimensional. Now here are some examples given. from a textbook. These are some three-dimensional shapes. Sphere, cone, this is a sphere, this football is a sphere, then this is cone, this is cylinder, this is cuboid, this is cube, this is pyramid. So these are some solid shapes. And these solid shapes has all these three dimensions, length, width and height, and due to which they are termed as three-dimensional solid figures or three-dimensional shapes. Clear? Now moving on. Next thing that is important in three-dimensional shapes is the face, edges and vertices. These are the three things that are present in a three-dimensional shape. Now, although as I've said, some factors may be missing. We will see that in some cases, not in all the cases, but in some cases. So what are actually faces, edges and vertices? For this, we have to consider any solid object or solid figure, and considering that, we will discuss these three topics called faces, edges and vertices. So first of all, each side of a three-dimensional shape, each side, there would be a side definitely. So these sides of a three-dimensional shape, which is also called a flat surface, is called a flat face or simply a face. It will be clear by showing you an example. Say for example, this is a cube, any cubical box or any cube, ice cube or whatever, cubical shape. So this is a three-dimensional figure. So here, this flat portion on all the sides, front, back, sidewise, top and bottom, these flat surfaces, what are they called? They are called the face. Say for example, in a room, the walls would represent the face of that room. The top, the ceiling and the floor also would denote the face of the room. Clear? Face means the outer portion, and that should be flat in nature. It can also be in other shapes, but for the time being you consider it, whatever shape it is, but it should be flat and it should be outward, not inside, the outer side. Those are considered as the face of the three-dimensional shape. Clear? Now next is, so in a cube how many faces will be there? 1 in the top, 2 in the bottom, then 3 and 4 on the side, and 5 and 6 on the front and back. So how many total? 6. 6 faces are there in a case of a cube. Clear? Now next, what is an edge? Two faces meet at a single line segment called an edge. Now if you see carefully, this top portion is a face and this sidewise is a face. Now the line segment where they meet, this portion, I am showing you with the cursor, this portion is kind of a line segment. When two faces meet, it forms a line segment, and this line segment is called an edge. Clear? Now there are different edges here. How many edges are here? This is 1, then this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Similarly at the bottom also there will be 4. So 8, here 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 edges are there in total. So whenever two faces meet, it forms a line segment, and this line segment is called the edge. Clear? You can see here also this is shown edge. Now next, on the last thing is vertex. So what is a vertex? Now three edges meet at a point called a vertex. Now if you see carefully, three edges, this edge and this edge, they meet at a common point. That is called the vertex. Now there are other vertices also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 vertices are there total. So whenever three such edges meet at any point, that common point is called the vertex. Clear? Now there, as I have told you, there are some other, it is not mandatory that this flat surface will be square in shape or rectangle in shape. It can also be triangular in shape. Say for example in this case of a pyramid. or say for example in the case of a prism, which is also pyramidal in structure kind of. So here how many faces are there? 1, 2 in the bottom, 3 on the back side, there is 4. No, it will be 4, 5. So if you see here on the sides, the faces are triangular in shape, whereas at the bottom it will be square in shape. So no matter what is the shape of the face, but if it is a flat surface representing the outer portion of the we can say three-dimensional figure, then that will be considered as a face. Clear? So in this pyramid there will be 5 faces. Now, as I told you a while ago, that there are some cases where these faces, edges or vertices may be missing. Say for example in this case, this is a cylinder. Now here how many faces are here? 1 and 2. Now we can't consider this middle portion as the face because it is curved. It is not a flat one, it is curved, totally round. So we cannot consider it as in the definition of face, because a face should be flat. Just like at the top and the bottom, it is flat. Although it is circular, but it is flat. So these two, top and the bottom of the cylinder, can be considered as a face. Clear? So in case of a cylinder, what we can say is that there are 2 faces, there are no edges, because since this middle portion is not straight, so we can't consider it as edge. Although it looks like an edge, but it is not actually an edge. So there are 2 faces, no edges and no vertices. In the case of a cone, similar kind of thing happens. There is only one face at the bottom, that is circular, but this circumference or this outer portion is curved, so it cannot be considered as an face or an edge or not even vertices. So although this can be considered as a vertex, but since this middle portion is curved, so we will not consider this also as a vertex. So what you can say here is that there is only one circular face, but other than that there is no edges and no vertices. And in case of a sphere, although it is a 3-dimensional shape, but here there is no face, since everything is curved, it is totally a round thing. So although it is a 3-dimensional shape, but it has no face, no edges and no vertices. Clear? So these are some exceptional cases. Other than that, most of the 3-dimensional shapes has faces, edges and vertices. So this brings us to the end of this chapter. I hope you all have understood today's class, also the earlier classes of this chapter. So you can again go back and check for yourself. If you want to know more about these faces, edges and vertices, you can see around you there are many 3-dimensional objects in your house which has different faces, different number of faces, edges, vertices. You can check for yourself. This is quite a fun activity. And you can draw as many polygons as you wish by increasing the number of sides. So that's it then for today. Thank you and have a nice day.